My name is David. I've been called a super dad of pageants. My daughter Ava is 4 years old.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Ava. Thank you, Ava.
Ava was 8 months old when she entered her first beauty pageant. We thought that, well, every girl would like to be in a beauty pageant. Ava won most beautiful hair, most beautiful outfit. She did really good for her first time. I wouldn't have seen that she enjoyed herself. I don't think I would have gone any further, but Ava loved it.
I like pageants.
I'm very involved when it comes to Ava's pageants. I do everything from costumes.
I'm busy putting on rhinestones.
Every single one of those rhinestones is hand glued. That can take a long time. To hair.
One of the things that Ava is known for is extensions. From Lady Gaga, platinum blonde, to your swimwear hair.
To makeup.
I like the lipstick.
Now, as Ava's competition started to get a little bit more intense, Ava's makeup has started to be a little bit heavier, only because you do need that high glitz glamour look to win. Choreography.
Good girl. Follow. Go. Nice.
There are times that I do give her $5 for any work, only because they have to learn that that's how the rest of our lives are gonna be. At first, I felt embarrassed because that wasn't the typical dad thing to do, but it's come to the point where, you know what, I deserve that notoriety.
I have no other life but pageants. This is not for the faint of heart. We probably spent well over $500,000 in their pageant careers, easily. Dresses cost you $8,000. Swimsuits can run anywhere from $600 to $1,000. They're training for it every day of their life.
Sometimes the girls don't want to cooperate, and it is frustrating as a parent. I do feel like if you start something that you should finish it. It's just like running a marathon.
We don't allow the babies to do any kind of local pageants now because it's really not fair. That would be like throwing Babe Ruth into a high school baseball game. We had to buy an 8x20 race car trailer. On the side of the trailer, it says, "Here come the queens."
It is literally like a billboard.
When we roll up in a trailer, it's pretty intimidating. We've actually seen our competition get back in the car and leave.
Ron is more into winning than me.
They've won probably over 50 pageants. We want to win. That's the #1 game. They're having the time of their lives. Don't you wish you were born in their shoes? God, I do.
Okay, now, we were talking and had to take a break. And look, and I understand that y'all are into this, and I think it's great that dads are involved with their daughters. I love that aspect of this, and I love that you're getting into what little girls like. Little girls like to play dress up. I get all of that. But, you know, let's let common sense come into play here. You're spending $500,000 on this, and you know, I grew up poor. So every time I spend money, I always think, wow, I wonder if I'm gonna see the day that I wish I had that back.
Always.
Like for college or to give them a start in some way. Do you ever worry about that?
Not really.
You don't have any concern about sexualizing them through this in a way that they're presented inappropriately?
You know, anybody that can look at a little girl, no matter what she's wearing, and think that kind of a thought. The problem is with them, not with the kid.
But why not dress them up to be the cutest 4-year-old there is instead of the cutest miniature 25-year-old?
And how do you know that we don't? I mean, my little girls they don't
How do
just
I know
have.
you don't? My God, I'm looking at the picture.
You've seen some of the dresses from some of the things that they wear, but you've not seen them all, and it's the same thing.
Well, this ain't my first rodeo. Trust me.
It's a performance.
I've studied this world, and
Right.
you're not denying that they dress these girls up beyond their age.
DrPhil, that's my job. I'm a makeup artist. I dress these girls up.
And that's what me, and I'm sure he
It's
is there
not
for, is to protect our children. We never let them out of our sight.
Well,
we're there.
Okay, when it comes to beauty pageants, people are usually divided right down the middle. Now, Jerry regrets putting her daughter in pageants. What do you want to say?
You don't think about what happens after the pageants, after they don't do the pageants. They compare themselves to everybody.
Tell me what 11-year-old doesn't compare themselves to everybody else in life.
Ultimately, my daughter's out there because she can sing and she can dance. She does all these things. She's been in dance school.
But do you think about what happens later and how she's going to compare herself to all the other girls?
I think
Is
about
she
the
ever
later.
going to be good enough?
Excuse me. I think about the later all the time. That's why I'm taking those steps with her all the way there. And I have that opportunity.
But she's 4,
I'm
you
not-
don't know what's going to
Christine
happen.
thinks that child pageants are just a hotbed for pedophiles. That's what you're concerned about, and that's what we're talking about. And you're saying they're out there whether you do this or not.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But what's your point?
I'm saying, the fact that there's over 500,000 registered sex offenders, do you think they're attracted to this, or do you think they stay away from
Absolutely.
it? Do you think they're watching the
that
shows,
a pedophile
watching
is
the
attracted
pageants?
to a child, not a child that looks
Yeah.
like an adult.
This
And
will
that is
There is
your
an
argument
embedded
is that these children
perversion
look like
in the mind
adults.
of a parent
Oh,
that
that's-
it enjoys seeing.
I get your theory, but I can tell you that's wrong.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's wrong.
I don't know. I'm not. I mean,
Pageants
that's
are
not,
your world, but that's not the real world. Okay? In the real world, you need to be realistic, and you're not teaching your children to be realistic.
I just don't see how you do it. But you see these dresses here? All of this stuff, wigs, the whole thing. We're going to give you 1 minute to use your creative expertise to dress these mannequins like you would dress if they were going into a pageant, okay? So take a minute to look over what you've got to choose from. You got the dresses back here, David, see? You got the dresses back here. All right, start the clock. All right, now tell us what you're doing.
Putting on the dress first. If you get past this point, you're good to go.
All right.
Because this is usually the wrestling match.
So who says this side wins? All right. Who says this side wins? Oh. You spent too much time lacing up the dress.
I know. I picked the wrong dress. I picked a pretty dress.
So you win.
Thank you.
Clear. But now you're the designer. These dresses weigh 4 or 5 pounds?
I have no idea. I've never weighed them. I actually don't put anything on them. I put the shell on her, and I start telling, like, okay, Ava, how does this feel? Okay, it's okay, Dad. And I put something else on it, and then I will vouch for this. This whole side is glued by her, and it's a mess. I mean,
Yeah.
but she really sits down with me, and I'm watching her, and I like put a little of the fabric glue, and then she puts it on there, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't go there, but it's about her, so.
What's the most you've ever spent on a dress?
This dress from construction, complete construction, is probably no more than $300, but I have my ways of doing things, so I
What's
conserve.
the most you've ever spent on a dress? Be honest.
Over $8,000.
$8,000.
And I'll tell you where I save, sir. All this banding came from a belt that I found in a thrift shop. This is Walmart's dollar fabric.
Yeah.
Everything else is, and I just am smart about how I shop, so.
You-
Because I want her to compete, but I'm on a budget too.
Told you.
You should hire this guy.
Well, that's why we're gonna become good friends now.
Yeah, I would think so.
Peggy pressures her 4-year-old sister to compete in pageants. Peggy was watching DrPhil,
If this is just a beauty pageant, why do this?
and she saw the pageant show, and she really became interested in getting Bridget involved. Peggy is obsessive about winning.
When Bridget doesn't win, I feel pretty disappointed.
When Bridget comes off the stage, Peggy's immediately critiquing what she's done.
If I had it my way, Bridget would be practicing every single day for at least 2 hours. We're gonna do pirate, okay?
No.
Yes, Bridget?
That's embarrassing.
It's not embarrassing. When I ask Bridget to practice, she will cry and scream and throw herself on the ground and kick and punch and do everything she can just to get out of practicing. When I was younger, I never did pageants. When Bridget is on stage, sometimes I wish that was me. I wish I had that experience when I was younger. And I think that she doesn't understand how lucky she is.
I think Peggy living her fantasy through Bridget is not allowing Bridget to be who Bridget's gonna be.
I do push Bridget hard, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
My question for Dr. Phil is, should I be worried about what Peggy says affecting Bridget as she gets older?
But I'm talking about forget whether the pageants are good or not. Let's talk about the prep and the dynamic that's going on with this child being coerced into doing something that she clearly doesn't want to do.
She clearly doesn't want to practice, and I will completely give you that.
And how old is she?
She's 4.
Okay, and at
She's 4.
4, should you have a job?
I don't allow Peggy to make her practice.
Really?
I don't.
Well, let's take a look at a sequence that we just saw in the last piece of tape.
We're gonna do pirate, okay?
No.
Yes, Bridget.
That's embarrassing.
It's not embarrassing. She was only like that because my mom was home. When my mom's not home, she'll practice.
Let me tell you, you're saying should you be concerned of what your daughter is saying to your other daughter? That right there is exactly why children shouldn't have children.
Right.
That's why teenage moms shouldn't have babies. Because you're not thinking around the corner in terms of what's going on here. And you're saying that you didn't do this when you were growing up, and she doesn't know how lucky she is.
Right.
And the low-hanging fruit that everybody's thinking about here is that you're now living vicariously through her. That the things that she does is, you didn't get to do it, so you're going to have her do it, and then you get something out of that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm living through her because it's just like, I feel happy for her, and it's not just me, it's her that's going on the stage, and she's the one who's going through the emotions, and it's not just me.
Okay, but does it concern you that she's not really into this? And like she doesn't want to practice, and no 4-year-old kid wants to practice a lot. I mean, they'll do it for a while it's entertaining for them, but then they want to go before.
She does like the pageant, so she just doesn't like practicing. She likes being on the stage. It's a fun experience for her. She gets to do everything. She plays with all her friends. They have dance parties. It's a really great experience.
And Bridget does like being on the stage. Bridget
But you're
does not
concerned that
like
she just doesn't
practicing.
put in enough effort to win.
Yeah. I don't think, like, if we're going to do something, my mom's paying so much money for it, Bridget might as well practice and do as best as she can.
But she doesn't want to. She doesn't care whether she wins or not. You said she likes being there and seeing her friends and playing dress up and all that. She doesn't care where she wins, but you want her to win.
Right.
Why?
Because I like being the best, and she should be the best, too.
You just said you like being the best. You were just talking about you're not living through her, but you said, I want her to practice because I like being the best.
Because we're putting time and money and effort into it, so she might as well do it.
I hear
Buy her
like
dress-up clothes.
we.
If she doesn't want to do it, stop. Don't put
She
the
does
money
want
in.
to do it.
Well, she doesn't want to do
No,
it.
she
Well, no,
clearly
she-
doesn't want to do it.
Look, I'm sure that a lot of this is fun for her.
She
Means you
doesn't
just-
want to practice.
Right.
Her and Peggy do have a good time.
You need to understand some things that you don't understand before you take over a parenting or coaching role with a 4-year-old. And they're very vulnerable. And you are so important to her. And your approval is so important to her. And if you say things like that to her, if we just happen to have caught it on tape, the only time in the history of your life or hers that it ever happened, what's the chance? Then it still is not okay.
It's not.
That is not okay. And you need to not do that. And you say you want her to win, well then you know what? You need to go enter into the Miss Whatever pageant, and you need to work your tail off and get in there and win. Seriously. You're very pretty. You certainly could.
My mom, she put me in a pageant.
I didn't tell Peggy.
but-
I signed her up for a pageant and got all the clothing and had her spend some time herself up on that stage. And she felt what it felt like.
Yeah, and if you want to do that, if you want to be a beauty queen, then you ought to go work on that and do whatever it takes to be competitive.
Because she's beautiful.
But
Peggy
you are
really
beautiful,
is.
and I told her that. And I think with this child, you know, you need to let them. You need to let them kind of do what they want to do, and it doesn't mean that if they start something, you don't want them to finish it, but you've got to measure this, and you need to affirmatively be the mom here and not let this go on. Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.